Henry returned to New York, but something inside him had shifted. The city didn't feel the same anymore. The flashing lights, the buzzing energy, the constant chase. It all felt hollow compared to the quiet richness of his time with his mother. At work, he sat through board meetings, looked over investment reports, and nodded when expected, but his heart was elsewhere. He missed the sound of birds in the Tennessee morning. He missed the gentle way Lorraine said his name. Most of all, he missed the chance to do more while she was still alive. One evening, while reviewing emails in his office, he noticed a message from a woman named Carla Thompson. She had recently received a housing grant through the Henry Caldwell Foundation and wanted to share her story. Henry read her message, and it moved him to tears. Carla was a single mother of two, who had just escaped an abusive relationship. With nowhere to go, she was living in her car with her daughters. Through the foundation, she found an apartment, childcare support, and a part-time job at a bakery. In her email, she wrote, "I used to feel invisible. Now, for the first time in my life, I feel seen. Your mother may be gone, but her love saved us." Henry leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. Carla's words gave him something he hadn't felt in a long time: purpose. He reached out to her and asked if she would be willing to speak at one of the foundation's community nights. She agreed, and from that day on, Henry became more involved. Not just as a donor, but as a listener, a mentor, and a man who finally understood what legacy truly meant. He began to visit shelters, soup kitchens, and community centers in person. He spoke less about finances and more about love. About a mother who walked barefoot through winter so her child could wear boots. About a woman who kept praying for her son long after he stopped believing in anything. People listened. And more importantly, they acted. Volunteers joined, donations grew, and stories flooded in from all over the country. One day, while attending a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new women's center in Dallas named after his mother, Henry noticed a little boy staring at a framed picture of Lorraine. The boy, no older than 7, turned to his mother and asked, "Is that the lady who made this place happen?" The mother nodded. "Because of her, we have a home now." Henry's throat tightened. He walked over, knelt beside the boy and said, "That lady is my mom. And she would have loved to meet you." In that moment, Henry saw his mother everywhere. In the brave women rebuilding their lives, in the children finding safety and laughter, in the volunteers cooking meals with love. Henry Caldwell may have never seen the inside of a skyscraper or walked on a red carpet, but her kindness had sparked a movement greater than any fame or fortune. A few months later, Henry returned to Tennessee for a quiet weekend. He visited her grave with a small bouquet of wildflowers, just like the ones she used to grow in her garden. He sat on the grass, crossed his legs like a kid again, and began to talk. "Mom, you were right. Love isn't alone. It's a gift. But I'm doing my best to pass it on. Everywhere I go, I see pieces of you. In the way people hug their kids tighter. In the way someone leaves an extra tip for a waitress who looks tired. In the way strangers help each other. You taught me that real wealth isn't what you have. It's what you give." A breeze rustled through the trees as if she were responding. On his drive back into town, Henry passed by his old elementary school. He parked the car, got out, and stood by the chain-link fence. Memories came flooding back. His mom standing there with a brown paper bag lunch, waving at him with that bright, hopeful smile. He chuckled through tears, thinking about how often she'd say, "You can do anything, Henry. You're my miracle." Years later, those words still echoed in his heart. Eventually, Henry sold his penthouse in New York and moved back to Tennessee permanently. He bought a modest house on the same street he grew up on and opened a small community cafe called Lorraine's Table, where all profits went to single mothers in need. It became a haven where people shared stories, hopes, and good food. One afternoon, while sweeping the front porch of the cafe, an elderly woman approached him. Her name was June, and she had known Lorraine years ago. "Your mama once gave me her coat in the middle of winter," June said. "I'll never forget it. I didn't even ask. She just saw I was cold." That's the kind of woman she was. Henry nodded, smiling. "Yeah. She didn't have much, but she gave everything. June touched his hand gently. And now you're doing the same. As the sun set over Sycamore Lane, casting a warm glow over the quiet town, Henry sat on the porch with a cup of coffee and watched children play across the street. He smiled, feeling peace, not because he had paid his mother back, but because he had carried her love forward. And in that love, in every act of kindness, in every mother's tear of relief, Lorraine lived on. A mother's debt can never be repaid. But sometimes, if we're lucky, we get the chance to say thank you, not with words but with a life well lived.